Have you ever wondered how a single thought each morning can change your entire day? Imagine this. You've just opened your eyes, and instead of immediately being pulled into your phone, the messages or the to-do list, you pause for a moment, just one moment to feel it, to be alive, to be breathing, to be able to feel. It's a privilege that so many of us forget. Do you ever find yourself starting the day with worries, reacting to the world around you, before you've even had a chance to connect with yourself? The truth is, if you don't proactively guide your mind from the very first moment, the outside world will do it for you. And as a result, you'll spend the whole day just chasing, not truly living. Carl Jung once said that if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will silently direct your entire life. And you know what? Most of us fall into that state, living without knowing we are alive, merely existing amidst a sea of worries, comparisons, and fatigue. But just one small thing can change it all. Gratitude, even for just 3 seconds at the start of your day. This isn't some hollow inspirational quote. It's the solid anchor you need to face all of life's storms. When you truly feel the preciousness of the present moment, you will no longer be swept away by the whirlwind of trivial things. This life is more fragile than you think. A single piece of bad news, one incident, one small change is enough to turn all your plans upside down. So gratitude is no longer just a morning ritual. It becomes the way you choose to walk strongly through every challenge, starting with the smallest ones. If you want to discover the 5 things that can change your emotions, your mindset, and your entire energy, each morning stay with me until the end of this video. Because right now, everything can begin again with just a single thought. Each morning, take a few seconds to breathe deeply 3 times. There's no need to rush. Just be slow, focused, and feel it. If it helps, you can place a hand on your chest to feel your heartbeat and whisper to yourself, I am grateful to be present here, not to chase achievements, not to please anyone, but simply to exist. Socrates once said, the unexamined life is not worth living. But perhaps that examination lies not only in deep philosophical questions, but also in the ability to be truly present with yourself in every single moment. You don't need a fancy journal or a perfect meditation session every morning. You just need one clear thought. Being myself right now is enough. This moment is enough. When you truly feel that sense of enoughness, you will gradually become someone who no longer needs chaos to feel alive. You will start a new day with a quiet resilience, a strength that comes from stillness, not from speed or haste. The biggest difference lies in starting your day with pressure versus starting it with clear purpose. One makes you feel like you're drowning in exhaustion. The other brings clarity and transparency. All of that change begins with a proactive attitude. When your morning starts with gratitude, you no longer have to chase a feeling of peace all day long, because you already carry it within you from the moment you open your eyes. Imagine it's like tuning your own internal frequency. When you truly connect with appreciation, things that used to annoy you like traffic jams, interruptions, or long waits suddenly feel lighter. You don't react from a place of lack, but respond to everything from a place of wholeness. Aristotle once said that happiness depends upon ourselves. It's not about being selfish, but have you ever realized that the first few moments after waking up are enough to shape your emotions and energy for the entire day? Most people grab their phones, read messages, or worry about tasks that haven't even begun without ever giving themselves a single real breath. The way you talk to yourself in the morning is far more powerful than you think. It shapes your mindset, your energy, and how you face the world. Today, I want to share something that can completely change how you start each day. Most people don't realize that in those quiet moments between waking up and taking action, your mind is at its most open, its most receptive. What you feed your mind then will either fortify your spirit or let chaos seep in. If you often feel stressed, tired, or swept up in the chaotic sounds of life, from the moment you wake up, remember you are not alone. But you have a choice. And this is where Stoic philosophy becomes practical, not as some distant story, but as a tool for every single day. The Stoics believed that how you start your day is how you train yourselves. If you don't take control of your own mind, the world out there will do it for you. And the world always has things it wants to impose on you. So if you're tired of waking up every morning feeling like you're already behind, if you're ready to stop letting yesterday's worries or tomorrow's anxieties haunt you today, then try these 5 simple statements. These are truths you can repeat to yourself each morning, and they will completely transform your experience of life. They won't take more than a minute of your time, but the impact they create is immense, quiet, and profound. If what I share here makes you think, pause for a moment to feel and move through life with more clarity, I would be honored to have you on this journey with me. Subscribing to the channel isn't just an act of support. It's a declaration to yourself and the world that you value sustainable growth. The first thing, I am grateful to be alive. Have you ever noticed? We are always chasing something: success, clarity, love, money, answers to the unknown. But how many of us stop long enough to feel the incredible thing we already have right now? And I'm not talking about the inspirational slogans you scroll past online. I'm talking about the simple, forgotten miracle. Waking up, being able to breathe, opening your eyes to a brand new, untouched day ahead. You didn't have to earn it. You weren't promised it. But here you are holding it in your hands. That is real power. That is immense fortune. And from here, your true source of strength begins to form. It doesn't come from what you achieve, but from recognizing the priceless value of simply being alive. Before you check your messages, look at your to-do list, or even drink a cup of coffee. Just pause for a moment and tell yourself, I am grateful to be here. Not because life is perfect, but simply because I am truly present. You are still on your journey. You still have the chance to change, to mend what's broken, to challenge yourself, to speak your truth, to live with integrity. Marcus Aurelius once shared that you don't need ideal conditions to feel a sense of inner fullness. Gratitude puts you back in the driver's seat. It reminds you that you don't need to have everything figured out to feel okay. You don't need external proof to feel internal balance. That is emotional resilience. That is a sign of maturity. That is you becoming a person the world can't easily shake. Now let's go a little deeper. Psychological studies have proven that practicing daily gratitude actually changes your brain, leading to long-term happiness. Numerous surveys from major universities like Harvard or Berkeley show that those who maintain a regular gratitude practice have a more positive outlook, sleep better, and even have stronger immune systems. It's not because their lives are easier, but because they choose to focus on something different. Where others see obstacles, they see opportunities. Where many rush, they choose to pause. It all stems from that mental reset button you press each morning. Plato once said that a grateful mind becomes a great mind, and eventually it attracts great things. This isn't some far-fetched magic. It's simply the law of cause and effect. When you live with a calm mind, all your decisions become clearer. When you live with appreciation, you attract others who also operate on that positive energy. When you are grounded, you are harder to pull away, harder to distract, harder to lead astray. It's not just how you show up that changes, but the entire world you attract changes with you. So before a new day begins with its flood of pressures and responsibilities, claim those first few seconds for yourself, not with haste or planning, but with presence. I am grateful to be here. Say it, feel it. Let that sentence lighten your breath and expand your perspective. It may be just one simple sentence, but it can recalibrate your entire mental system, because gratitude is not a passive state. It is a powerful source of energy. It's how you reclaim your power before life sweeps you away. It's the line between merely existing and truly living. And the more you practice, the more you realize that this present moment is the foundation for everything else. Not the goal, not the schedule, not even the morning coffee. Just this breath, this awareness, this life. Repeat it with me. Not just once. Repeat it every morning before the noise begins. I am grateful to be present here. That is the true reset button, the starting point for all your positive change. The second thing, yesterday has no power over me. Have you ever noticed how some people wake up already feeling tired? It's not because they lack sleep, but because they haven't truly let go of the burdens from the day before. Their bodies may have rested, but their minds are still spinning, replaying every imperfection, every wrong word, every moment they wish they could forget. Those memories run on a loop in their heads like a song stuck on repeat. Whether they realize it or not, they carry all of that into the new day. It's like trying to run a marathon while still carrying yesterday's old baggage. Sooner or later, you're going to stumble. The reality is we often carry too much pressure from the old day into the new one. An awkward conversation, a missed deadline, or a mistake that makes you feel uneasy. Sometimes it's not just our own issues, but the emotions, opinions, or expectations of others too. We let the shadow of the past stretch over the new opportunities of today. But there's one thing many people forget. We were not born to relive yesterday. The important thing is to learn the lesson and then leave the past where it belongs. The greatest challenge isn't to become perfect, but to learn how to let go. So start by reminding yourself each morning, yesterday does not control me. Say it with conviction. Say it like your peace depends on it, because it truly does. That statement can't erase the past, but it helps you separate yourself from what happened. It draws a clear line between what is over and the choice you have in the present. That boundary creates freedom. That is your new beginning. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That is a priceless statement. Because what you've been through might explain why you're hurt, but it doesn't get to decide the path you take from here. You are the one writing your story today. You are the one who decides whether to carry shame or strength. This is what so many people miss. They keep replaying the worst moments of their lives as if it's homework they never finished. But at some point, you have to close the old book and start writing a new chapter. The Stoic philosophers always believed that what matters most is not the event itself, but how you respond to it. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Maybe yesterday was a mess. Maybe you said the wrong thing, lost your temper, or missed a precious opportunity. But that's over. So what about now? Are you going to stay stuck there, or are you going to use what you learned to move forward stronger, more aware, and wiser? Imagine each day is a blank page in your journal. But if you keep writing the old story on today's page, you'll never have the chance to start something new. That's why letting go isn't a sign of weakness, but a testament to wisdom. It's emotional self-mastery. It's choosing not to waste today's time fighting battles that belong to the past, or trying to fix what is already gone. This is the real strength that many people don't recognize. The power to stop hurting yourself over things that are done. Socrates said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." But that doesn't mean you should keep chewing on the past until it hurts you all over again. Reflection isn't about reliving every old emotion. It's about observing, understanding, and then letting it go. Take the lesson, leave the burden behind. If this sounds too simple, yourself, has holding on to old memories ever truly helped you? Has it healed you? Has it made you better? Or has it only made your present heavier? Now let's try something practical. Imagine thoughts like regret, guilt, and shame as stones in a backpack you're wearing. Every morning before you get out of bed, close your eyes and visualize yourself taking that backpack off. Feel it being lifted from your shoulders and set on the ground. Feel your body become lighter. Let that image become a daily ritual, because when you truly let go, both physically and mentally, your nervous system gets the message. We are safe. We are free. We are starting over. Aristotle once taught that habit is the foundation of human character. So what would happen if you made letting go a habit? Not a one-time thing, but a skill you practice daily. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to detach from old wounds. You will no longer identify with the image of someone who always fails or is always behind. You will become someone who gets back up quickly, forgives easily, and proactively chooses peace for yourself. In fact, this isn't just for big events. Sometimes we carry small things without even noticing. A text message with an annoying tone, something we overheard, or just a passive-aggressive comment that occupies our mind. These little things build up, and then one day you don't understand why you feel so stressed. That's why the practice of letting go needs to be repeated every day. Not just when you've gone through something big, but every single morning. Pause, check in with yourself, and let go. There's a saying often attributed to Plato: the beginning is the most important part of the work. And this is absolutely true. If you start your day still clinging to the past, every action, word, and choice you make will be influenced by those old emotions. But if you start with presence and the act of letting go, you will feel clarity and wisdom. In that state, you have power. You don't drag the noise of yesterday into the quiet of today. So make a change. Don't treat each day as the next chapter in the worst memory of your life. That's not fair to you. And it's not fair to your growth. Yesterday is gone. Today is yours. Give yourself permission to live it fully. Don't just live halfway. Don't live haunted by the past or on autopilot. Remind yourself, yesterday no longer controls me. This isn't avoidance. It's direction. It's choosing to heal instead of continuing to hurt. It's remembering that your future is not built on the fragments of the past, but on the choices of the present. So choose to live fully. Choose peace. Choose to set down the weight, and then go live a truly meaningful day. The third thing, I control my mind. It does not control me. In this day and age, it's so easy to feel a loss of control. You could be enjoying a cup of coffee, and just a moment later, find yourself submerged in a flood of messages, updates, tasks, and back-to-back meetings. And then come the thoughts. They rush in loud, demanding, constantly vying for your attention. It feels like your mind is automatically opening dozens of browser tabs you never chose to open. By the time you realize it, you're no longer truly thinking. You're being dragged along by your own thoughts. You react passively. You chase every emotion, every worry, every possible scenario. It's an exhausting loop that can easily lead to burnout. The Stoic philosophers saw this long ago. They understood that the chaos outside is never as dangerous as the turmoil within. That's why they practiced mastering their minds every day before the world had a chance to dominate them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the core of being proactive. It's not about controlling others. It's not about manipulating every outcome. It's about controlling the one thing you truly can, your own response. That's also why every morning is so important. When everything out there hasn't started yet, you have a brief moment of complete quiet, a pause. And what you do in that moment will set the tone for your entire day. So remind yourself of this. I am the master of my mind. Say this to yourself before you even touch your phone, before you start your to-do list, before the chaotic thoughts appear. Say it with conviction, with belief. Because when you affirm this early on, you create a strong shield for your mind that lasts the whole day. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." This isn't just a nice saying. It's a specific instruction. Most people live with their gaze turned outward, swept away by noise, comparison, ego, and reputation. But the moment you shift your attention inward, even for just a minute, you begin to awaken. You realize that not every emotion is true. Not every thought deserves your attention. Your mind might be busy, but you don't have to get carried away by it. Here's a simple practice you can try. As soon as you wake up, sit in silence. Just for 1 minute, no fancy preparation needed. No music, no scrolling on your phone. Just you and your breath. Inhale slowly and exhale even more slowly. When thoughts appear, and they certainly will let them pass by like clouds, don't try to hold on to them. Don't judge any of them. Just focus on your breath. The space between a stimulus and your response. Right there, you will find your power. That's where you realize you are not your fleeting thoughts. You are the observer of those thoughts. Plato believed that the greatest victory is to conquer yourself, not winning at work, not controlling your schedule, not even clearing your email inbox, but mastering yourself. That victory begins in the mind. Every time you feel yourself being pulled away by anxiety or a hasty reaction, remember that you have a choice. Will you let your mind drag you along, or will you direct it? Do you want to be the driver or just a passenger? This doesn't mean you have to become a monk on a mountaintop. It's the ability to control yourself in a world full of noise. It's choosing your own mood instead of letting emotions overwhelm you. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to feed every fear. You don't have to let every minor inconvenience destroy your inner peace. Peace is not a passive state. It is your decision. The more you commit to that decision, the more natural it will feel. Socrates once said that the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that new thing begins with you setting your own direction. You choose your attitude for the day. You proactively build your own mindset. That mindset doesn't just happen. It's the result of training. Modern psychology confirms this. Brain studies show that the brain is not fixed. It can change and rewire itself based on where you direct your focus. If you start every morning just by reacting, scrolling through negative news, comparing or complaining, your brain will gradually become accustomed to a state of stress. But if you spend your morning anchoring yourself in the present, practicing your breathing, choosing your attitude and observing yourself, you will gradually train your brain to be calmer. You can literally train yourself for peace. Aristotle also emphasized that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. Think about that. You can't become mentally strong overnight. It comes from choosing to hold a clear intention every single morning when you wake up. I am the master of my mind. That is your practice. That is your personal discipline. Just like lifting weights, it gets easier with consistent practice. So the next time your mind starts pulling you toward doubt, anger, or distraction, just pause, breathe, and remember. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean you have to follow it. Just because something sounds loud doesn't mean it's true. When you learn to train your inner voice, it will become stronger than all the noise from the outside world combined. But you have to truly choose it. And of course, there will be times you slip up. There will be days when you let your mind lead the way and forget all these lessons. That's perfectly normal. Don't blame yourself. Just get back on track. The Stoics didn't aim for perfection. They aimed for awareness. True growth isn't about never stumbling. It's about recognizing sooner when you've gone off course and returning to your true nature. So tomorrow morning, before you answer emails, before you read the news, before the world tries to grab your attention, take a moment to sit with yourself. Close your eyes, inhale peace, exhale chaos, and remind yourself out loud or in your thoughts, I am the master of my mind. Let that be your compass. Let it be your center. No matter how noisy the world gets, you can be stronger when you truly make that choice. That's how you take back your power every single day. The fourth thing, kindness is my superpower. There's something very special about people who bring a sense of peace wherever they go. They don't need to speak loudly or stand out in a crowd. Their presence is always steady, making others feel safe and at ease, because the energy they bring doesn't come from a need to prove themselves. You might wonder, how do they do that? The answer doesn't lie in fame, money, or any expensive self-development method. What sets them apart is something very simple, yet incredibly powerful: kindness. Real kindness, not the kind that's performed for attention, but a kindness that comes from inner strength, not weakness. Have you ever met someone whose presence alone makes you feel at peace? That's not an accident. It's a conscious choice built on a daily decision. Kindness is my superpower, not a sappy, sweet kind of kindness, but a practical, strong kindness steeped in the Stoic spirit. Because being kind doesn't mean being passive or weak. It doesn't mean letting others take advantage of you or avoiding hard truths. On the contrary, true kindness requires self-control. It requires discipline. Marcus Aurelius once said that kindness is unconquerable if it's genuine, not a form of flattery or pretense. Just think, what can even the most malicious person do to you if you maintain a kind and steady attitude? That is balance. Gentle but not fragile. Calm but not silent. Today, many people confuse hardness with strength, as if being cold or indifferent is proof of self-mastery. Stoic philosophy points to the opposite. The strongest person is not the one who controls others, but the one who controls themselves. Kindness is a form of self-mastery. It's when you're aware enough to pause before reacting, humble enough to listen instead of judging, and brave enough to open your heart even to those who may not deserve that compassion. Carl Jung once said that knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. This statement is truly profound, because within each of us, there are storms, insecurities, wounds, and fears. And when we see that in others, we often forget that they too are fighting a difficult battle with their own inner demons. Kindness is the bridge that connects us. It's not about being overly optimistic or pretending everything is fine. Kindness means you choose to see the human in every individual, even when it's hidden behind defensiveness or anger. When you start your day with that mindset, you will feel a shift. You speak more softly, not because you are weak, but because you don't need to shout to be heard. You react more slowly, not because you're indifferent, but because you value peace more than being right. You are more patient, not because you don't care, but because you understand that transformation takes time for yourself and for everyone around you. Socrates once advised, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Socrates didn't say that to be poetic. It's a very practical truth. Most of the hurt that other people project isn't really about you. It's their unresolved stories, their pain, their own wounds that they haven't been able to heal. When you understand this, you stop taking everything so personally. You start to see beyond the surface of a thoughtless comment, the fear, the passive aggression, the lack of confidence, or the long silences. Most of it comes from unresolved pain. Kindness doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. It means you choose to respond wisely without letting your ego take over. And this is where you can put it into practice. Think about one kind act you will do today. Seriously, choose one right now. Maybe it's giving a compliment to someone who's down. Maybe it's taking the time to truly listen to someone. Maybe it's as simple as sending a message to check in on a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. No matter how small that act is, it makes a difference. It might be the only good thing someone receives all day. But the surprising thing is you get back even more than the other person, because every kind act reinforces your identity as someone who is proactive, not swept away by fleeting emotions. Plato believed that excellence is not a single act, but the result of habit. Kindness is the same. You don't wait until your mood is perfect or until others are truly deserving. You choose who you want to be. Turn it into a daily practice and repeat it until it becomes your nature. When kindness becomes a natural part of you, the way you show up in the world changes. You're no longer looking for what you can get. You show up to give something. That's a different, deeper kind of power. And yes, sometimes people won't understand you. They might mistake your patience for weakness or your calmness for indifference. But what's important is that you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for your own values because you want to be the best version of yourself. The truth is, nothing creates a more lasting impact than kindness practiced daily. Not charm, not intelligence, not effort, just kindness. The Stoics were not weak. They were spiritual warriors. They experienced loss, betrayal, and hardship, yet they still chose to live by virtue. For them, kindness wasn't an add-on. It was the root, the foundation of a life worth living. When you truly understand this, you'll stop seeking approval from others. You'll stop trying to prove your worth. You'll simply live it quietly, consistently, and completely. So tomorrow morning, before you get swept up in the whirlwind of the new day, pause for a moment, quiet your mind, and remind yourself, kindness is my power, not because you need others to like you, but because that is the person you want to be. Then step out into the world and live as someone who is not afraid to be kind. Not a fake kindness, but a kindness that comes from inner strength. That is what leaves a real mark. That is the energy that can change the atmosphere wherever you go, and very often it's the very thing that changes you from the inside out. The fifth thing, this moment is all I have and I will savor it. Have you ever suddenly realized that a whole week has passed and you don't really remember any of it? Not in a way that you appreciate life's beauty, but with a sense of bewilderment, wondering where the time went. You just finished your morning coffee, and in a flash, you find yourself buried under a mountain of notifications, meetings, and tasks you don't even remember agreeing to. It feels like the day just rushed by without you having any control. That is the reality of modern life. Everything is fast, loud, and constantly demanding your reaction. But there is a simple truth that can help you escape all that chaos. Everything is temporary. This truth isn't meant to make you anxious, but to awaken you. The pressure you're feeling, it will pass. The burdens you're carrying, they will eventually fade. Even joy, peace, and wonderful things, they will all change. That is precisely what makes the present so precious. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They practiced memento mori, reminding themselves daily of life's finiteness. Not to be pessimistic, but to be awakened. When you understand that nothing is certain, not even tomorrow or the next hour, you will learn to cherish the present moment more. Plato once said that time is the moving image of eternity. That quote makes us think about how we actually use our time. Most of the time, we waste it on regretting the past or fearing the future. We rarely just live in the present. But presence is a skill, a form of discipline that needs to be trained, just like intelligence, physical strength, or patience. Carl Jung believed that the ability to live fully in the present is a major factor in mental health. And that makes perfect sense. Most of our anxiety comes from thinking about the future. Most of our sadness comes from the past. But the present, that's where you truly exist. That's where your breath is. That's where your inner strength lies. But because we're so busy, we miss that very moment. We often miss the quiet sunlight streaming through the window, the taste of our breakfast, the fresh smell of the air before it rains. These small moments, though, many people ignore them, are everything. So remind yourself of this. Say it clearly to yourself. This moment is all I have and I will savor it. Not tomorrow, not some other time. Right now, it's the coffee in your hand, the quiet moment before everyone else in the house wakes up, the conversation with a friend where no one is rushing to check their phone. Life isn't something that will happen later. It's happening right now. And if you're not truly present in this moment, you're not just losing time, you're losing your life itself. Aristotle spoke of eudaimonia, a state of complete happiness and meaningful living. It's not tied to distant goals or external achievements. It's tied to every virtuous action, to how you live each moment with awareness, proactivity, and alignment with your values. Savoring the present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities. It means learning to fully experience every minute, even when things aren't perfect. To be frank, being present isn't easy. Often we prefer distractions. We like being busy or thinking about what's next. Because when you sit quietly with yourself, that's when the real challenge begins. The Stoics called this state of tranquility ataraxia, an inner peace that isn't easily disturbed by external events. One of the quickest ways to touch that peace is to slow down and fully feel the moment you're in. Whether it's just brushing your teeth or watching a branch sway outside your window, allow yourself to be truly present. This doesn't mean you deny the stresses of life. Because, of course, life will continue to unfold at a dizzying pace. There will still be people and tasks pulling you away from yourself. But when you practice presence, you no longer hand over control of yourself to a sense of urgency. You're no longer caught in the feeling of constantly having to race. Instead, you choose clarity. Seneca once wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." That is the secret. Not just surviving the day, but savoring each moment. That savoring doesn't have to be loud or showy. It can come from silence, from gratitude, from a moment of pause in the stream of life. So tomorrow or right now, as you're listening to these words, just stop. Take a deep breath. Feel the air move through your chest. Notice where your feet are. Listen, smell, feel, taste, and touch what's around you. Live in the real present, not in what you think you need to be doing. Presence gives you power because it brings you back to yourself, not the version of you that's performing, not the one who's always planning or regretting, just the you of right now. Socrates, who questioned everything, once wondered why travel brings no joy if you're not truly living with yourself. The truth is, it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. If you can't be present, nothing will ever feel like enough. Not success, not status, not even distant travels. That's why presence isn't optional. On the journey of life, perhaps everyone has wished for a fuller life, more meaningful connections, and deep down a steady sense of peace. But in reality, that doesn't come from how many things you do each day, but from your ability to notice and appreciate every moment you are living. True peace begins with paying attention, with choosing to pause and enjoy the small things as they happen, instead of letting everything quietly slip by and then regretting it. The present moment, as simple as it is gently slipping from your grasp quietly and without a sound. Time is always moving, stopping for no one. If you don't try to hold on to it, it will pass by without you ever realizing what you've lost. So allow yourself to hold this moment a little longer, feel it a little deeper, and always remind yourself, everything is temporary, so I will savor every second of this. When you change your perspective, you'll feel time stretch out, each experience becoming richer, more meaningful, and leaving a real imprint on your mind. And gradually you will realize that those seemingly ordinary small moments turn out to be the most precious things of all. The present is never trivial. It is all you truly have. And as long as you are awake enough to recognize that you will never feel a sense of lack, carry that truth with you in everything you do each day. Peace is not in some distant future. It is in the moment you are truly living, right here, right now. Don't wait for tomorrow to start enjoying it. Don't let worries about the past or future steal your present. If these words have resonated with you, if you feel a connection, or realize you need to slow down and live more intentionally, I invite you to explore the next videos waiting for you on the screen. There you will find more profound insights on how to build a life of quiet clarity and inner strength. Thank you for your time and for being a part of the Stoic Moon community, where every moment of presence is a precious gift.